بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Can you guys hear me?
Salam wa rahmatullahi. I hear you too.
Yeah? Alright, beautiful.
Let me move this down actually.
We are on another episode of the Muslim Mindset. I think episode 6, as Sheikh Nadal was reminding us, where we basically go through the book written by Sheikh Muhammad Al-Arifi, Enjoy Your Life. The art of interpersonal relations as exemplified in the Prophet's biography. I didn't get that the other time. Based on another book written by a non-Muslim.
Took us six episodes to get the full title.
No, I think this is a special edition book. That's why I've got that, you know.
You want signed? Autographed? To my dear Adnan.
Yeah, I think I've prepared it quite a lot, but it's based on a book written by a non-Muslim where they focus on interpersonal skills and EQ is what they call it. Emotional? What? I don't know what the Q stands for. Quotient.
Yeah, intellectual quotient or intelligence quotient.
Just means equal.
Equal.
Like equal sugar.
That's it. That's just equal. EQ.
His IQ is pretty low.
Yeah,
Don't
EQ just equal.
His IQ is pretty low. Don't worry about him.
Which we never done. Have we done it? I think I've introduced ourselves the first time. That's about it.
We introduce ourselves every
Too
time,
many
I
times.
think.
Nah.
Well, introduce yourself. Come on.
Alright, I'm Ahmed Rafiq. That's Adnan Sheikh, and that's Abdul Salam. Amanda.
You wish jellyfish.
Yeah, I don't wish. I'm Adnan.
Did mention our apologies, Mazen.
Oh yeah, apologies is Mazen. Oh, the calendar can take a spot this week if you guys like.
Does the same job.
That's bad.
Mazen watching?
I don't know watching. He's pretty
If
super
he's
busy,
not
bro.
here, he's better be supportive of the podcast. He runs it with
I'll
us.
send him the clip later.
Yeah.
Oh, how you boys been? I haven't seen you guys since last month.
No, we haven't done the podcast since last month, but I saw you like that a couple of days ago.
I can't remember where, but yeah.
Me neither. I see you too often to remember where it is.
I don't see Abdul Salam much.
Ahmed didn't have a ring last podcast. It's going on now.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
here we
This
go.
guy. What ring are you talking
Here we
about?
go.
What ring are you talking
Show us
about?
both hands.
What are you talking about?
Both hands, bro. What are you on about?
That's what the non-Muslims do when they want to.
Party, yeah?
Yeah, as a guy, like I was at work, and some guy's like married, and then like I get walking past, he took it off, so I'm not married this time. I'm like, bro.
Ahmed does when he's on these podcasts. Just takes it off.
Oh,
You know what? It's not about it. No, check. Bro, she could be listening, bro. Keep it on the down low, Abdul.
the KK, she is 100% listening.
Yeah,
After
I
you
don't
get
know.
married, she doesn't listen anymore.
I don't care.
Is that what happens with you?
She's like, she
You
uses
go home
she uses
and-
my voice too much anyway.
My wife's got no clue where I am.
You boys go home and be like, babe, did you listen to the podcast? What podcast? Do you have a podcast today?
They stopped caring after the KK period.
That's a shame. Maybe I should extend this KK. Khair, what chapters did we have this week?
What was our homework at then?
It was, I don't know if we have the same titles, but for me it was use the right bait. Always use prawns, boys. Always
Prawns and
catches.
sinkers.
Tiger prawns is pretty good as well.
That's because you're a rich fisherman, bro.
Nah, from Woolies, you buy the bag. We bought it last time, do you remember?
Yeah, I
Cut it in
remember
quarters,
that.
and they're big, so you can use them multiple
We
times.
The-
use that
yeah.
for food, not for fishing.
Yeah, but you
That's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah,
rich,
bro. We
bro.
eat that
Bait the
stuff.
sheikh,
listen,
man.
we catch that stuff. Like if we like it, the fish are bound to like it as well.
Fair
Okay, he's
point.
taking a
Fair-
risk.
yeah,
He's
fair
throwing
point.
in a prawn, hoping he'll get something else.
Then it was choose the right words. Was the next topic, and
No. Next topic was be kind at the first meeting.
see that's what I'm saying. We got the different chapters names.
Yeah, so choose the right topic. Be kind at the first meeting.
No,
And then-
choose the right words is before be kind at the first meeting.
Yeah, I know.
And then
Yeah.
people
And then
are like
people
the
are like minerals of the earth.
People are as diverse as the Earth's elements.
Yes.
What are the four elements?
The four elements.
Yeah.
Earth, air, fire,
You're
water.
doing the wrong order, bro.
Wait, how does it go? Long ago, there were 4 nations,
Earth is first.
and the world needed him most. He vanished.
Mazen
Magic
vanished.
Karush. The Avatar. Oh my god. We've never seen Mazen bald. He could have an arrow under his head, but you never know.
No, we have.
Have we?
He came back from Umrah a year ago.
Yeah, I remember he had short hair once.
He cut his hair after Umrah, I think it was.
He probably cut
Last
it
year.
as well. He didn't get to
Umrah
last.
last year?
I think he went Umrah last year or the year before and he came back bald.
Don't remember.
Or he He only snipped part of his hair because he didn't want to get bald. We'll
There's
ask him
two
next-
big
next
differences,
month.
bro. There's
Can't
two.
remember. I'll ask him next month.
Yeah, I don't remember Maz ever having short hair. Anyways, let's get to the topics. The right topics. So choosing the right topics. How'd you guys go with it?
No, I went alright with that.
Kick us off, Adnan.
I don't see many post-it notes in Abdul's book.
Yeah.
It's been a
They're
busy
for show.
month. He's gonna write notes as you mentioned it. He's
Yeah.
copying your homework.
The thing is, I prefer your notes over mine. So I'll leave it blank and then I'll copy yours.
Do you remember at
The
school?
problem is Adnan struggles to read his own notes.
Yeah, I do. Do you remember at school in roll call where we used to just copy everyone's homework in 10 minutes?
Never do
So you're probably the one that getting copied off.
that. Probably.
No, Abdul just didn't care.
It doesn't matter.
It was asleep. I remember Abdul was asleep half the time at school.
Probably.
I found this topic quite, I guess, interesting. The main thing I took from it was adaptability of, who you're speaking to, what you're speaking about, and how you're speaking to them. That was, I think, the main thing, right? The whole topic was about, you don't speak to an old man the same you speak to a kid. You don't speak to your wife the same way you speak to your mum, and so on and so forth. So I summarized really this whole chapter with one word in terms of adaptability and breaking that down into who you're speaking to, what you're speaking about, and how you're speaking to them.
Yeah, I think that was probably the main topic. It'd be hard to go past your head. I think there's a lot of benefits that he mentions about being adaptable. Adaptable? What?
Yeah,
are we doing?
I said adaptability. It's
Being able to adapt.
Yeah.
In regards to, can you say getting what you want, or is that bad to say that?
I would say capitalizing or benefiting the most.
Yeah.
Or,
Maybe getting the best result
that's a
better
better
way.
out of any situation.
That's a bit.
Getting the best result out of any situation, or everyone's different, and the way you talk to someone or talk to two people might not be the same at all, even if you might be the same topic or whatever it is, or bringing about someone. And I think, to me, I see that a lot. You see that a lot. I think me and Ahmed are more similar type, where we can get told off, I don't know about Abdul, and bounce back. I think Abdul and Mezen, we're all pretty much alike. And then some other people don't really like that. So you need to adapt your way of speaking to them and making maybe in a nice tone, maybe motivating them, being positive about them. Whereas me, Ahmed, I don't know, I can't say for the same for you, Abdul.
Abdul gets cut, bro.
No, he doesn't. No, I haven't seen him.
Never been cut.
No, not in the
No,
last.
no, you've been cut.
Abdul's changed. He's changed. Let's just say that.
No, he's a tough one, Cookie.
Yeah, but he never used to be like this
Yeah.
tough. It was more like soft.
Like, the way you talk
Cookie
to
dough.
Ahmed to get him motivated, you just say someone else is better than him and khalas.
Is that what it is?
He can't. That's it. He's head in the papers. That's why he got good in his HSC, bro. He just couldn't stand.
His cousin ended up beating him anyway, though, didn't he?
You know what? Because he had his eyes set on someone else to do it.
You smashed ya.
Yeah, but I was never competing.
Yeah, true.
Were you setting Adnan as the bar?
You're bad. You're
You know what? Is it 1 second? It's a pretty heavy bar, bro.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 95 kilos, bro.
It's not straight, bro. Either. It's not a straight bar. Either. It's pretty crooked. Look, I don't know. I felt like I didn't understand the chapter how the author wanted me to understand it. I took it on. I had my own spin on it, so to speak. Like, it was more like adapting to how you speak to someone. But I remembered as soon as I read that first chapter, the first paragraph. Sorry, I remembered a time where I was sitting with the boys during Ramadan, the last Ramadan. I think Abdul was there. I don't know if you were there, Adnan. We're having suhoor. And it was a range of boys, different ages. We were getting together for the same thing, of course. And as we were eating, one of the brothers goes to one of the elder guys who has a lot more experience than us, wiser. He's lived through it all. He's got many kids. He's like to us, he said, brother, teach us something from your experiences. And I was just like, whoa, like, what a tank move. Honestly,
Who said that? Like young kid?
a young kid, yeah, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
He's like, where everyone's just having a laugh, enjoying the company, and he's like, in like layman's terms, or not layman's terms, just in paraphrasing, he's like, teach us something from your experiences. He's double our age and so on. You've had many experiences, you've dealt with a lot of people. Teach us something. We're sitting in this gathering, we're having a good laugh, but now let us. He wanted to capitalize from being within his company, and I'm like, this kid's a tank, mashallah. That's one of the first things I thought. I'm like, mashallah, Allah mabarak, this kid is a tank because he's got that aptitude, that maturity of him to realize he's in a scenario where he can benefit, not just himself, but all the other boys around him as well. And that to me was adaptability. That to me is choosing the right topic. Like, what are you gonna gain from talking to him about the footy over the weekend? I can talk to you about the footy, like, even though we can also teach each other, but we're more of the same level. There's a friendship, more so of a friendship there, and so on and so forth. And even though he's friends with this older guy as well, he's like a friend to us. He's like, you know what? Sack all that. Sack what happened. Sack what we're eating. Sack all that. Teach me something. And he did. He taught us something, and it was short, sweet, to the point, which was another thing good from that older brother of ours, who kept it short, sweet, and to the point, not to take away from the actual joy of the gathering, in a sense that we're here to catch up and so on
And
and
there's
so
a lot
forth.
of young kids. So even he used the right bait to make it short and sweet.
That's exactly right. That's the first thing I remembered, honestly, when I read this chapter. The first paragraph. And that's what the rest of the paragraph was me thinking of this example and using that to, guide what I was thinking the rest. Yeah.
I remember it was an.
Were you there, by the way?
Yeah. It was an informal piece of advice as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a formal setting or whatever.
No, it wasn't.
Doesn't
We're having like
doesn't fill the
man'ush.
mood.
We're having
Yeah.
man'ush, labna, like it was, it was just a suhoor during Ramadan.
And asking a so I guess it works both ways. You get the benefit of enjoying the gathering, but at the same time, you're benefiting on another level as well. You know what I mean? Where someone with experience is giving you a piece of advice.
Yeah, and I think that's the ultimate form of choosing the right topic.
Yeah.
Like you can say, with work colleagues you talk about work, with friends you talk about whatever you did over the weekend, with young kid you talk about toys and whatever. But I think that what he done there is the ultimate form of choosing the right topic.
Yeah.
Because he's gaining something for his akhirah.
Yeah.
And that was ideal, I think.
I think what Adnan was saying as well, it's not so much what you're talking about sometimes as well. It's about how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Or how you relay that piece of information or what you're talking about. That has a big impact as well.
Yeah.
I think as well what the author mentioned was that itself using the right bait in itself is that speaking to, for example, a father whose kid got basically like whatever, ducks or whatever it is, that father will enjoy talking about his son because he's so, not the word impressed.
Over the moon.
Yeah, so then he'll talk about his son for the next, 10 hours, doesn't mind. Or someone that's opened up his own business is doing well, you talking to him triggers that conversation and he loves that. So also that using the right base, for example, that young kid talking to the older person saying, give us some of your experiences, he would have loved that in himself, not in a bad way or egotistical way at all, but it's like, okay, someone's asking me, or someone that's younger and is wanting to hear my experiences and see what I learn or can bring to the table.
I think that's human nature, right? To
Yeah.
want to be wanted, right?
Yeah.
Or desired in a sense, Abdul bro, can you help me out with this? It might make you feel nice, someone relies on me or requires me or needs me, in that same sense. When you like you said, you speak to that father and you tell him, how is your son who's got ducks, whatever it may be, it shows that you know something of them. You want some, not necessarily want in that case, but you know something about them that is fruitful, and you want them to expand on it.
That's like Adnan. I think in the last week I saw him 3 times, and every time he's talking about how he's a surveyor.
He came to the podcast in his surveying.
He came in the podcast in the shirt.
And then
soccer he was talking about.
Tell us about surveying, bro.
At soccer, they didn't know how to set the goals up, bro. They weren't even straight aligned at all, bro. They needed to get to the optom first. They were trying to set the goals. They couldn't even set it right. What was the score?
I wasn't there.
Someone told me 7-all or something.
7-0, yeah.
7-all.
They caught up.
Did you score?
Nah, I missed 6.
So it's
I
because
got
you
told off 8 times.
Did you?
By himself.
Nah.
He's beating himself up. That's hilarious. With what Abdul was saying, I don't know, you guys, you got Lebanese culture, you've got Libyan culture. I don't know how it is with your parents and so on and so forth. But I was thinking of how he said how you speak to someone as well. There's a thing I have in my culture. It's a respect thing. Like my dad, I speak to my dad or whatever it may be. If I'm ever explaining something to him and I want to confirm that he got it, I don't say, or it's rude of me to say, did you understand?
Oh well.
Okay.
No, I get that.
Rather, I say, was I able to explain it correctly, or
Mm.
was I able to explain it sufficiently?
That's a good one.
And this was also, I found it linked to this chapter in terms of adaptability in how you speak to someone or the person that you're speaking to. Like, you know, we'll have a good laugh and roast each other, and we'll use slang language or whatever it may be. Sometimes, you know, or whatever inside jokes, terminology that we use and the way we say it can't be used in the same way with someone else. And even in different environments, like in work, you don't talk the same way you talk here, you know, amongst boys or whatever it may be. But also when it comes to age or gender or positioning as well, there's an adaptability or choosing the right words. So I actually had in my notes, I wrote I had a slash next to topics. I wrote choosing the right words as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well, on that, you remind me of the example where someone basically had a dream and wanted to get his dream interpreted. So he went to, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, so I'm just paraphrasing everything. A wise person to translate the dream. And then the guy firstly said, oh, everyone in your family is going to die.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
How
about.
do you go? How do you go?
Yeah, you mentioned this one before, right?
Yeah, I have. I think so. I'm pretty sure I have, yeah. And it's like, everyone in your family is going to die except for you. And the guy got upset. He's like,
Everyone's going to die in your family before you.
yeah, and he got upset. He's like, what do you mean? I'm going to live my life alone and this and that. I'm going to be old and die alone. And he got upset at the guy and scolded the guy. And he went to another person, and the person just in his change of words said, you're gonna outlive everyone else. Or you're gonna have the longest span of life compared to your family. And he was like over the moon.
Yeah.
Just even that, choosing the right words with people.
Yeah.
And I think as we
and it's the same message.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, it's the same result.
That's why when you said what you said, I'm like, it's exactly the same when you're saying, do you understand and have I explained correctly? You're still the same
I
message.
like that example actually.
Yeah, I really like that.
With my dad?
Yeah, that's a good example. I'll ask you boys a question actually. When you're calling someone on the phone, for example, would you ask them, did I catch you at a bad time or did I catch you at a good time? What would you say?
Did I catch you at a bad time? I always say that.
What would you say?
I don't know.
I only started saying, before you move on, I only ever ask when I call now, and I'm like, are you busy? Whatever is that? Because I remembered someone asking, or someone was giving us an example. He called the sheikh, and if most mashaykh are very busy on the phone right these days, so they're like, they don't want to answer a phone call. And then he was another sheikh as well telling us, and he's like, he asked first before I spoke, are you free? Do you have the time to? And then begun. Instead of imagine answering a phone call from a random number and just started talking and keep on going. It's like,
yeah. I don't know what I'd say. I usually just say, but sorry, do you have a couple minutes? Like, Afwan, do you have a couple minutes or whatever? I don't know if bad time, good time. What's the difference?
So the thing is, I try to pick up that habit a while back where, like you said,
which one's the right answer?
I'll get to it. So you ask a person, like you said, and you can ask in many ways, like as you said as well, for their time, right? Because you're taking a bit of the time. You're the one calling them. Maybe you need something from them or a favor or whatever.
I think I know the answer.
No, and the second part to it is, the better way to go about it is say, did I catch you at a bad time? Because people are more inclined to say no as opposed to saying yes.
People are more inclined to say no.
Because if I tell you, did I catch you at a good time? You're more inclined to say no. Whereas if I say, did I catch you at a bad time? You know, automatically in your head, you'll be like, oh, no, it's all right. It's a good time.
Say that again.
You lost me, bro.
Yeah. Wait.
People
is this a way of being courteous to the other side, or so you getting what you want?
No, so I guess both. You're being courteous to the other side, and at the same time, you know, you're not being a nuisance, and it helps you get a result out of the conversation.
So did I catch you at a bad time? Is the right thing.
So if you say, did I catch you at a bad time? Generally, if you think about people in general, they're more inclined to say no.
I get you.
Okay.
In their answers, people are more reserved, and they're more likely to say no than yes. So if I ask you, did I catch you at a bad time? Your automatic response will be no, it's fine.
Yeah.
The same way, if I was to ask you, hey, did I catch you at a good time? You might be like, the first thing pop up to your mind is no. Just as a
what if it's like Aussie slang? You'd be like, nah, yeah, you're alright.
Yeah.
Did I catch you at a good time?
If you're dealing
nah, yeah, you're alright.
That's a defense card.
Yeah, if you're dealing with someone like that, nah. You know, it's lose.
It's what comes last.
You know,
yeah, that's true. It's always what comes.
Or what
last.
doubles? Yeah, nah. Or yeah, nah, yeah. It's what
the no's equal to 2 points. The yeah's equal to 1.
Oh.
So you need 2 yeahs for every no.
Okay.
So yeah, no, yeah is good.
Starts studying.
So I overthunk the. I
Overthunk.
I overthought the.
His brain's fried now.
Nah, overthunk is a word.
No, it's not.
Come on, search it up.
After.
I overthought what you said when you said, "Did I catch you at a bad time or a good time?" I'm like, is he trying to be courteous? Like you shouldn't say, "Did I catch you at a bad time?" Because that person doesn't have bad times.
Nah. You took it too far.
I took it too
You killed
far.
it.
Maybe
But
you're
just-
thinking too much.
Yeah. Thank you. But on a serious note, I think it's a good point. Like you said, just being courteous to people, right? Asking them, hey, before getting into the gist of the conversation, hey, is it cool to talk?
Yeah.
Um,
You know, with another, I actually had another thing that I wanted to mention on this point. The sheikh actually mentioned like choosing the right topics. So he said obviously with the right people, the right language, but also at the right places. He mentioned that in the chapter as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys are on the same boat as me, bro, but recently, like, I don't know if it's been like this or it's always been like this, and I've only just noticed because I have the independence to go to funerals and azas by myself, as opposed to before when I was at school. There's usually school, and I wouldn't go to as many azas or burials. But man, I've been going to a couple burials or azas, and it's nice and quiet, or like solemn, I think is the right word. Like in terms of this death, right? In the first couple minutes, 5 minutes later, you're in the same gathering, and there's people laughing in this corner, other people doing this in this other corner, and so on and so forth. And I found that to apply to this case as well, like choosing the right topics or the words or the right
time and place, like you
time
said.
and place.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. You sum it up with that, time and place, right? Like, other than the fact that we've become too desensitized to death, yeah, that's the right word. But like, courteousness in that case, courtesy. Sorry, I'm making new words today, bro. Courteousness,
You're killing it.
Oxford Dictionary +2. But in terms of like courtesy towards the family or whoever's at loss in that case,
Just to the
like,
gathering and
like the gathering, like time and place. Why are you sitting? Like, crack your jokes later, on your way home or whatever. Like, we have 24 hours of the day. Do it some other time. You've got literally half an hour where you're visiting the family or something like that, and now is not the time and place to be joking and so on and so forth. Do you guys see that?
I was actually at one last week or the week before.
Kills me.
And actually, I went with my brother and we actually noticed the same thing, because we came in while the sheikh was giving a talk. It was giving a good reminder, beautiful reminder.
Yeah.
And then reminder finishes, and then there's this awkward 30-second quiet period, and then before you know it, it's a hangout. You know, people start getting into their groups and talking, and it doesn't feel like a azar for the person anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Imagine going.
Unfortunate, but
imagine going to it with the intention of hanging out. Like,
imagine how bad the
that's so
family
bad.
feels. Like, imagine like the son or something that's mourning and everyone else is laughing. He's just sitting in the corner. Like, what do you think?
yeah, you're like, exactly. Everyone around me is so happy, and I'm so sad. Like,
Choose that place.
yeah,
That's one of the. I think it's a sunnah. Is that the people coming to visit should be bringing food. Like, I know it's not really the topic, but this what always kills me is like, if you pay attention, you see a lot of times in Labour culture, the family, like the mum, the sisters, the aunties are in the kitchen, like cooking up food and tea to serve for the guests that are. But when instead they're supposed to be like mourning, and they're supposed to be sitting down, and people are supposed to get in,
like,
be getting
taking
them
it
food.
easy.
Yeah,
They've
and
got a
they're
lot on their
cooking and they're
plate.
like they're coming out and serving tea and this and that to all the men outside. I'm like, bro, like sit down, relax, like have some time to yourselves.
And
That's what upsets me a lot as well. And then like even like you see that, for example, the nephew or the little kid's always serving tea. Like haram, like think about him. He's probably his auntie, his father, his whatever passed away, and you're forcing him to serve tea for everyone else. Everyone should be coming with a plate of food, or not even asking for food or whatever it is, and making it easier on the family is a sunnah.
But a tray of dates and that's it, mate. You're good to go. Bottle of water and you're good to go.
Keep it in a center and let everyone get it themselves.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. Today at work, side note, I guess, moving on, in other words, today I had a gentleman at work come in to get his eyes tested. He has to sign off on the form to drive. He needs my signature to drive to get his license. And his name was Nizar Aminovich. And I'm like to him, he was old man, 83 years old. He's in a stroller, but he looks like healthy. Like he's got something to help him walk, but he lets go of it and he walks around as well. He looked healthy. I'm like to him, Mr. Aminovich, do you know what your last? He's like, oh, you say my name so well. He's like, how do you know? I'm like, well, your name has the origin of Amin. And I told him what it meant. He's like, wow, so beautiful. And then I was testing his eyes, and I'm like to him, have you had surgery to your eyes? He's like, no. I'm thinking in my mind, impossible. Because usually by that age, people develop a thing in their eyes called cataracts, and it prevents you from seeing clearly. This guy's seeing 20/20 vision. He's 83 years old, and he's telling me he hasn't had surgery. I'm like, impossible. You should have had surgery about 15 to 20 years ago to fix your eyesight. And then I go to look at his eyes, and I'm like, bro, this guy has not had surgery, and he's seeing so good.
MashaAllah,
like I'm getting to that. I'm saying that, right? I'm like, Mr. Minovich, can I ask you a question? Because he was a nice gentleman. I'm like, are you religious? He's like, well, I was raised Muslim.
Okay.
And then I'm like, oh, so, you believe in stuff? He's like, yeah, I do, but I have no understanding whatsoever. I don't even understand when I say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim in prayer. I'm like, interesting. And I went into topics. I just started explaining. I'm like, well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim means this. I'm like, look, I don't know. I'm not Arab either. So on and so forth. And you can learn these things. He's like, look, when I was young, back in Yugoslavia, before they separated our country and World War II, he's like, I lived through World War II. He's like, we used to go to like madrasas and so on and so forth. And I remember my dad would, before he sleep, he'd make this dua in his language, and in it he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. I'm like, well, I started chatting to him about all these things. I'm like to him, you know why I came into saying all these things? Because I looked at your eyes and I'm like, subhanallah, like Allah Akbar, like how amazing this guy is. Like his vision and everything is so well, and he's retained it so well at his age. And then he got emotional. He's like, you know what? No one gives me like this time of day to sit and speak to me like this. Like I'm like, look, I wish I could sit and speak to you and learn from your experiences. Like it's actually, who knows what this guy has lived through, and he's Muslim. May Allah preserve him. He's like, you know what? No one gives me this time of day. Like I'd love to come here and get my eyes tested again, just so I can chat. He's like, I'm like, you've made my day. I told him, you made my day. Like you're such a nice gentleman, and he taught me quite a few things. And I'm like, reading this chapter, I'm like, look, subhanAllah, like just giving him the time of day, right? Choosing the right words, topics to speak about with him, like asking him about, as Adan said, a father would want you to ask about his son who got the ducks. I asked about him and his childhood and his history and stuff like that. It made him so happy. He's like, I can't wait to come see you again. He needs to do it yearly. He's like,
come back next week.
Come back next week to get a sign. I lost my paper. No, but like it really like made his day.
Yeah,
it made my day as well. But as Adnan said, ask these people and figure out what the other person sort of requires, needs. Generally elderly people just want someone to speak to. That's the reality of the situation. Like when dealing with the elderly, give them that time of day, and learn from them and gain experiences from them. And
it was a pretty smooth intro to the next topic. Be kind at the first meeting.
Yeah. So I slugged him for $800.
That's what I was actually going to ask him. Was that before or after you invoiced?
No, there's no charge on anything today. I can't. His vision's so good.
Mashallah.
Allahumma barik indeed.
Just so we can go to the next topic. I like the thing. The end point of that previous topic.
Oh, we don't have Mazin today.
Talk to people.
He usually reads it for us.
Yeah, Mazin usually reads it.
Get him Talk to people about what they enjoy, not about what you enjoy as well. And on
that's it. That's exactly it.
That topic. What you were saying is, I remember I was surveying this retirement village once. And then there was this old lady, and she kept asking me, if do you want to have tea and come inside? I'm like, no. And we had to go inside the house and measure up the walls. So I went inside, and my bad of shoe, and then she started talking. I'm trying to leave because I was a bit late. And she opened up this book that she drew, and she was like the same age, like 80 old. She was old, very old. And she was showing me like drawings of what she drew herself and her family in the camps, in the German camps. And she's got like pictures of her.
She's
like,
Jew?
No, she drew, DREW. Yeah, and of the German camps. Sorry?
Yeah, so is she
What's the
Jewish?
Yeah, she was
She's
Jewish as well. Yeah,
that's
sorry,
the
yeah.
German link.
Sorry, yeah, both books, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like showing me the camps, and she was drawing, and she's showing me the small bunk rooms, and she's drawn like you get like literally like a 3D model of everything. Like this was this war, and this was that war, and she's sending me stories. I'm like, wow, like you can get history report out of someone, and she would have had a different experience to the next person that stayed there in the same camp as well.
And that would have made her showing you those those drawings.
Amazed me more than it.
But it also would have made her happy.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Like she was keen on showing you. You could tell
Yeah.
she's coming in. I'll make you tea. It's nice of her, you know. But yeah.
So
So
that's what got me amazed when you said about the old guy who lived through the
World War Two.
Yeah. it's fun.
So what was chapter 2? I guess for this.
Was
this
be
month?
kind at the
Be
first
kind,
meeting.
First meeting.
What do you guys find?
Okay.
First impressions last. It's a good point. I think it's a good point.
I think that chapter was the first paragraph was like what the crack is going on.
Which one? This one?
Yeah, about Roman man, the Roman culture,
Egyptian culture.
Egyptian culture was
yeah.
it?
Mm.
Egypt. I read it ages ago.
What, last week?
The Egyptian culture of strangling a cat
On the first night of your wedding, to show you're the boss.
to show you. When I read that, I'm like, what is going on? Like, alhamdulillah for Islam. Like,
We've heard of worse, to be honest.
what?
No.
Like, yeah, like
There's a lot.
obviously
You hear a
there's
lot.
shit of
You hear
words,
a
but
lot,
like
yeah.
obviously in terms of what we've read
Yeah.
I'm like, what a weird culture to have to something like that, strangle a cat. Like, what a macho man. What a macho man. But yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest, bro. That was a weird. That was a
waiting
weird
all week
perk.
just to say that.
Like last 2 hours, bro.
Just before you came. But on a serious note, I think with this chapter, the whole idea of first impressions last. I don't know about you guys. I don't know with me, with so many people, if you hit it off the right way from the get go, you tend to notice that those are the people that you enjoy the company with, enjoy spending some time with, later on as well.
Yeah.
It's often very hard to get that first idea of someone out of the back of your mind once it's been kind of set there.
They say first impressions never have a second chance.
There you go.
Quick Google search for
There
that
you
one. you know, I would love to share my first
Adnan's got
impression
a
of
rebuttal
Adnan.
coming. He's got
I
a
would
rebuttal
love to
coming.
share my first impression of Adnan.
I've got the delay button, bro. I'm gonna delay you for the next 10 minutes, bro.
Nah, I'm gonna spare you that torture, bro. But that first impression, yes, you're right, it's still in the back of my mind. But his impressions after made me love him.
See, the thing, I don't know. I don't agree. Like, maybe first impression if you don't see them often. If you see them once every couple months or whatever it is, it's always that first impression.
Right.
But I think maybe, if you're at school together and you see someone, you give them the time to change that impression of them.
There's obviously those exceptions, right?
Yeah.
Someone that you spend so much time with, your impression of them is going to evolve over time. You get to know each other more, etc., etc.
But they're working backwards, right? They're working backwards. Like they're fixing. They're fixing
bad first impression.
a bad first impression.
You know what? You're 100% right. Because we had a couple guys join our company
Yep.
like a month ago, and the first word he said was literally, I'm this.
Yeah.
They can't fire me. They need me. And straight out like that, like, bro, what an egotistical, like,
Did he get fired?
like, yeah, he got fired last week.
Yes.
Actually,
Well, like, yeah. But no, just that thing. And like every time you talk, and I always have that in the back of my mind that this guy is like up himself, whatever it is. So I just take a step
He's
back.
the type of guy that strangle a cat.
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter how judgmental you try not to be, right?
Yeah.
How that impression, that meeting that you have with someone is gonna leave an impression on you.
Yeah,
The same way that you're gonna leave an impression on them, whether good, bad. This guy pulled out his esky in this conversation.
I gotta put out my first impression, bro. It's a good impression, boys.
He's just trying to show how hard he works, He carries it. You gonna share, bro? What's wrong with you? This guy. Don't spill all over this equipment. It's expensive stuff.
He put out an esky mid podcast. It's the first time I've seen it.
Oh my god! To all our new viewers, first impressions. You right there? Bismillah.
Bro, that went up my nose everywhere, bro. I'm just trying to drink, bro. You can't kill me. That did more harm than good.
Time and place,
Yeah,
bro.
right.
Time and place.
Now I kept that in, wallah.
You should have waited for that.
Should have spat it.
I want to know what he was thinking when he pulled it
Bro,
out. Like,
wallah, I'm thirsty, man. I'm dying. It's cold water.
get close to the mic. No one can hear.
Sahten.
Oh.
I was waiting for my.
Can you slide it down?
Yeah, 1 second. After 5 minutes, I forget. I'll give it to you guys.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
For any of our new listeners and new viewers, we're a bit more sensible than this. Yeah. So where were we?
So like we were saying, that I think that first impression is definitely important, especially because 90% of the people that you bump into, you don't have an ongoing relationship with.
That's true.
You know what I mean? You don't have an ongoing relationship with 90% of people you meet. Sure, there's the family, the friends, the close mates, whatever it is, the work colleagues. Those people you can kind of mold what they think of you over time. Yeah. Sure, but 90% of the people that you bump into, you might have one conversation with them and never see them again.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true. Like I feel like I'm always talking about work, but like in my work setting, how you deal with that first patient, how that patient deals with you that first couple of times, ultimately it will depict how you are with them throughout the rest of the test and the consult, and also when we give them glasses and stuff like that, and the sale procedure.
The same with us, because sorry, where you go?
Like a client, with any client.
Yeah, the same with us, because with construction, it's a lot of projects might last 4 weeks. It could last 2 years, depending on the size of the project. And you do jump from client to client to client.
Yep.
And you notice that the clients that you get onto a good note with from the get go, it tends to be a smooth process for the remainder of the project. You might notice that as well.
They start CCing you in emails.
They'll look after you. Do you know what I mean? They'll be more lenient with you. They'll have conversations with you. The phone calls are good, etc. But when you started off at a rough patch with a client, then it makes pretty much the rest of the project a nightmare.
Yeah,
if it gets to that,
and it's not tasteful for either party.
Exactly.
Really.
As well, I think if you have a good first impression, I'm just thinking of an example in my head, that when something does go wrong, it's out of their character, so you give them an excuse like, oh, they just had a bad day.
True.
Rather than being the other way around, saying, oh, it's just they had a good day.
That's true. If you're known to be a hard worker and you're having, a slack day, a slack week, whatever it is, then it's like, oh, he or she's not usually like this. They're usually hard work, and the same works the other way around, unfortunately. You know what I mean? If you set a bad example of yourself, then it's going to become the norm. Most times, no matter how hard you try, unfortunately. Obviously, you can work hard to change that, but a lot of the times becomes...
It's much harder to fix it.
Yeah. Like Ahmed said, it's harder to... Even with the people that you're close with, you end up finding yourself trying to fix an impression.
A bad impression.
A bad impression.
Like, so you're starting on the back foot.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, rather than being on the front foot.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys would have had it also as when we were younger, as kids with teachers at school, right? Like, you get... Because the book actually gave the example of that instructor at the police academy. He kicked out that student and so on and so forth, and then he gave him the questionnaire.
Maybe give a bit more
a background.
So if people want to
they should be reading.
They should.
They should be reading. If you haven't read it, go back and then start from episode 1. But a bit of background, I guess. This police academy, right? It was a police thing, something like that. They hired this new instructor to teach them on interpersonal skills and first impressions or something, or interpersonal skills, I think it was. And the students, so to speak, are just having a good laugh in the class while the teacher hasn't walked in. The instructor walks in, and he's got a stern look on his face, and he tells off one of the students because he's got a smile on his face, and kicks him out. He's like, "You're not a real student. Get out of here. This, that." Then he gives the questionnaire out to the rest of the class on his teaching capacity, and it's literally been 2 minutes that they've experienced him, and all the results were poor. Would you And then he goes, before he gets the paper back, he goes back to that student outside, and he apologized to him, and he's like, "Actually, you are a good student. You've given up your family, your wife, and your kids to be here, and I apologize, and this and that, and I wanted to he explains to him the scenario, goes back in, and then he does the questionnaire again, and now it's flipped. Everything is flipped. Now, I took it like I was thinking back to my teachers or instructors, if you will, back at school. Like, you had those teachers that first impression meant that they forever demanded respect from you, and not because you were fearful. Well, maybe sometimes you were fearful. I think I was, some students, you get scared of some of the teachers, but also because they were deserving of it.
Yeah,
they were definitely deserving of it.
Yeah.
Whereas other teachers that come in, casuals or even full-time teachers, that first impression you can tell they're a bit of a pushover, and that's it.
The rest of the semester they can never fix it up.
That's it. Everyone has their way with them, and and does whatever they want, and that's it. No matter what they do, they raise their voice, they scream, they decide to give detentions or thing. No one even takes them serious. They don't even rock up to the detentions anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
110%.
and it was most of the time from first impressions.
Yeah.
That's how I remember. That's how I remember school being.
As well, I remember at school, like you're being told, let's say you haven't had this teacher, you're only 7, and say, oh, she teaches you 10. When you have her, she's bad or whatever it is, or she seems scary, you don't talk to her much. And then when she teaches, like it opens up and like, wow, this is the best teacher I ever had, or it's good as well.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of teachers like that.
Yeah, and it was a good quote at the end of it to the story where he says, "Note how your views of me changed as I changed the way I dealt with you."
Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is I think a very good point. So it sums up the story pretty much.
It does, for sure. Like, how you deal with someone changes how they're going to perceive you, really. Like, I think it's basic. Like, it's a given, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to recalibrate and realize that maybe I should treat people better so then they can perceive me to be better. And also, I get treated better.
Yeah.
And so, other than the fact that it's Islamic and you should treat others how you'd like to be treated. So, like, it's a win-win.
And they say that if you don't like the way someone's treating you, look into how you're
treating them.
You're actually treating them, because people are actually generally most times a reflection of
mirroring you,
pretty much, or mirroring your behavior towards them.
Yeah, for sure. On that one, what was the last thing?
People are as diverse as the Earth's elements.
No, the last thing. The Mazen's job.
The suggestion. The last.
The first meeting gives people 70% insight into who you are. So treat people as if this is the first and last meeting between both of you.
70%. Is that like an
statistic?
actual statistic, or is that
stonks?
if he said 72%, you would believe it straight away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 70%. 70% is a bit sus. You know, you don't know how to take it.
72 is not an odd number, by the way. Then
like not.
It's not a rounded number.
That's it.
80% of what facts are
80% of facts are fake.
80%.
Even that one is. It's about 84.5.
No, that contributes to the 80%.
I think from memory it was 84.3, not 5. Correct me.
I don't know if you're being serious now. Or just
see how hectic I sound.
Yeah, you do sound.
Because I'm correcting myself by a little bit.
Because it's not rounding. Yeah, that's it.
People are as diverse as the Earth's.
That's a good one. The key is to get it wrong the first time.
Yeah. It's like, nah. You correct yourself like these guys.
Not too wrong. You get just a good amount of wrong.
A good amount of wrong. So people are like the
final chapter. That tell us.
I think it's basically similar to the chapter previous to the previous, prior to Prior.
Puree. The third word of the day. He's on a roll.
Basically stating that everyone's a bit different, and the way you deal with different. Oh, it does. I like that example a lot. Is that like land is different in itself, so land or soil has to be treated differently. Otherwise, specific plants will grow in this soil and not others in that.
Did you read my notes, bro? That I had the same thing.
That's because we're reading the same book, bro.
Oh, true.
Fair point.
Yeah, and then he puts that analogy to people and saying that everyone's different and you have to consider the condition.
Yeah,
and the idea that the author brought up about how people's different natures affects their decision making and their life, etc. Well, the kind of a seminar that we were at the other day, where they brought up the example of the marshmallow.
Yeah.
Right.
What's this marshmallow example?
If you were there, you'd know.
Oh,
but
pull that game strong.
But the correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Arvid. But they did an experiment, right? Yeah. You probably heard of the experiment where they put kids into a room with a marshmallow. If you eat the marshmallow now, you eat the marshmallow. If you wait 20 minutes, you get 2 marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids reacted in different ways. Naturally, they reacted in different ways, right? Some ate the marshmallow, some waited patiently.
Another one licked it.
And another one licked it.
And put it back.
Put it back. Ended up eating it. Different types of, I guess, decisions made by the kids. And then the guys doing the experiment actually tracked the kids down later on to see how they made life decisions moving on. Obviously, that's a small decision. How they made larger decisions as life got more serious, etc. And they noticed that, for example, the kids that didn't eat the actual marshmallow tended to make better decisions overall. More successful decisions, that's a better way to put it, overall than
those that rushed.
The others, pretty much, or the ones that rushed.
Yeah.
I think that was for me, it kind of struck a light bulb.
See how, like, as kids, their natures dictated or determined how they were later down in life. A lot of things down in life. With this, like, people's natures as well, like, I get people's natures are different. I always struggle to understand, can people change their natures? Like, I'm sure you guys come across some brothers that are just, like, super, super quiet. Like, us three, where we joke around, we're lively, so to speak, and, you know, you come across some brothers that are just super, super quiet, super, super reserved. They don't even talk much. I'm like, I think to myself, like, is this how they enjoy their life being? Like, or is this just something they're struggling with? Like, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, to be honest. But their nature is so different to what I'm used to and what I am, that I feel like,
I think there's different people's nature. If people are introverts, extroverts, people like being outside the house, traveling. Some people don't like traveling at all, and you see that with our group of friends. Like, some people will camp, or will camp 6 weeks in a row, and others don't want to leave their house. You know, the comfort of their house. It just depends on their personality.
I don't think there's an issue with that, so to speak. The whole nature, the idea of that's people's nature. But I think it's how you use it. To be honest with you, some people might be extroverted, but extroverted in the wrong way.
Yeah,
do you know what I
too
mean?
much.
Or some people have an extroverted nature, but they use it for the right means. The same way, someone might be introverted, but they have skills in other facets that you and I probably wouldn't have.
Such as
for
listening.
example, such as listening. Yeah, that's a good one. But I think
you clean me, wash me up.
that needs
I'm saying all of us.
Oh, all of us. Okay.
No, I'm not like that.
that needs a 5-second dump.
No, it's alright. Doesn't matter.
One thing that I really liked, and I didn't know, and I'm pretty sure he would have said it with knowledge, is that the Prophet ﷺ forbade the judge from giving a verdict when he's thirsty or hungry, or when he needs to relieve himself, because these matters may affect his mood and hence his decisions. That to me made me, like, to such an extent, and I think it's
how
hit the nail on the head.
But also, like, how, like, cause, like, our religion has thought of everything. Wow, subhanAllah, as well. It's considered everything.
All encompassing, huh?
Yeah, all encompassing. That's the word.
When I'm hungry, I can't think straight.
You're hangry.
No, I'm just angry. Yeah, I'm angry.
You're hangry.
Hangry. But go on with that point. Was that the end of it?
No, the next part after that, he's talking about the person that killed 99 people.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
I guess one thing to keep in mind, going back to the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, is that these natures, or these people being different, is from Allah. Okay? It's not necessarily something that, I don't know, they have control of, or it's a diversity and a ni'mah from Allah. Imagine if everyone was the same. I think that would be very weird and boring at the same time. And the Prophet ﷺ said, as written in the book, Allah created Adam from a handful of dust taken from different lands. So the children of Adam alayhi have been created according to the composition of the land. Therefore, from mankind we have red, white, black, and what comes in between these, we have good and evil, easygoing and sorrowful. And that's it. Like, as I'm sure you've seen videos and photos of the diversity of the land of Earth. Okay, if we're going to take it literally, right? And you can consider that to be humankind as well, because that's ultimately where we come from. And you just got to deal with, each one accordingly. You don't go to the bush without a four-wheel drive, so to speak. And you don't go to the snowy mountains without skis and a snowboard or whatever it may be. Everything has its own tools to deal with.
Each climate,
every setting has its own things to do with. Like, Adnan was telling me, like, the other day, he said when you went to Malaysia, they told you don't drink water. And you're like it's subhanAllah, the climate. No, don't drink water at all.
Oh, don't drink water.
The climate and the environment there requires that the people have learnt to not drink water
because they don't sweat. If you don't drink, you don't sweat.
Yeah,
Who told you that? Don't drink water.
The locals.
They told you not to drink
The
water.
second I got off the plane, I was hot and I kept drinking
Maybe-
water. And I
Are you
was,
sure? 'Cause it's
Maybe
not
they're trying to mug you,
contaminated?
bro. Maybe they're
no,
trying to
like
mug
I
you.
was sweating buckets and I'm like, bro, I'm sweating and I
Ah.
keep drinking and I'm not thirsty, but I'm still sweat. What was it? I can't remember what it was. The situation. They're like, yeah, we avoid drinking water because the more you drink, the more we're gonna sweat
Or sculling
and
water
get
in Malaysia.
sticky.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to mug him,
Yeah.
hoping he faints and mug him.
You're trying to save me money, bro.
Yeah.
The guys not trying to take money off.
They're
Abdul,
waiting
keep
for you to
sitting in
pass
water.
out.
No, but like
Tough man.
different environment, different requirements.
Yeah.
That ultimately
100%.
is subhanAllah.
100%. I think you should look at it in a positive light. Different isn't always necessarily bad. You know what I mean? So like we're saying, if people's nature is different. No, if people's nature is different, they act in different ways. We shouldn't look at it in a negative sense. Rather, you look at, they're lacking in certain areas, but in other areas, they excel, and you treat them accordingly.
And with dealing, sorry, God, then.
Go.
With dealing with all these different minerals, so to speak, and these different types of people, patience is the key to all of it, really. Like, no matter who you have, easygoing, tough bud,
Cookie.
whatever, tough cookie, yeah, someone who's introvert, extrovert, whatever it may be, all of them, at any point of your interaction with them, will require some form of patience. Excuse me. And you'll find that patience is the key to being successful in your dealings with pretty much anyone, really. Anyone and everyone. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. One thing that also interests me was he's saying that he was talking about the example where someone divorced his wife 3 times, and then the person asked him, do you know any good sheikh who will give me a fatwa that allows me to take her back as my wife? The author was saying, like, besides the point, he's saying, this shocked me, but then I realized that often people's views, and maybe their religious views, differ according to their emotional states and natures. So that a sheikh or whatever it is can come to a different ruling to someone else, let's say within reason of being acceptable, just because his background or where he's raised is completely different from someone else, or the rulings of one country to another differ because of the situations that people are in, or this is force, or the repercussions or the laws and legislations behind it. So that was an interesting point to me.
There was a good 3 chapters, I think, this month, actually. I was worried that the chapters are going to get a bit repetitive, like, because there's a lot of chapters still to go,
Yeah, we're not even halfway.
Yeah, not even halfway, and we're on, like, we've done half a year of this, but it was actually a good 3 chapters. What's the go for next month, Adnan?
Give me a second. I'm trying
beach.
to see. Can you change your habit in ancient order?
Are you going to wrap it up?
No, I was seeing some other
Read
points
the last
that
point. The last point's very good.
Read it, Gab. You're Mazen standing today.
Do I need to say it in Mazen's voice?
Yeah, do it, Mazen.
No, I'm not doing it in Mazen's voice.
Do it, Mazen's voice. Come on, bro. The hairdresser voice.
The last point the author brings up, he says, knowing the personality of the one you are dealing with helps you earn his love. I guess it sums up what we spoke about.
Before we get to that,
There you
let
go.
me finish because I highlighted this. I remember there was something I wanted to say as well. He was saying that the author was saying, like, as Ahmed was saying, if you deal with people that are tough or stuff like that, he was saying some people cannot change, so we need to adjust ourselves when we interact with them. The solution is to be patient, tolerate their poor manners, focus on their positive qualities, overlook the negative aspects, and adjust oneself to circumstances as much as possible. Some issues just cannot be resolved.
Unfortunate, but yeah, seems to be true. So what's our homework, Adnan?
Homework was thinking.
It sounds funny when you say it,
Yeah.
huh?
I don't like homework, bro.
When are we back, first of all?
Last
taking-
Thursday of every month.
We're not taking a break?
You're going to be here on the 31st?
Is it a 31st?
Is it 31st of
31st
December?
of December, you're going to be here?
But what do you mean? By I gave my word, I'm down.
So am I, to be honest.
Hello,
What are
we'll
you
see
doing
where it
on
goes.
New Year's, bro? Relax.
Not the fireworks.
Well, we'll see where it goes. We'll at least advertise on Al Bayan Facebook page, and we'll get a date going.
Maybe 24th.
Possibly,
We could do it the week before, okay?
inshallah. Let's go from the hair of Muawiyah to be concerned for. What's 120? Let's go. Be concerned for others. So basically, up to page 144. Is that too much? That's 25 pages.
Too little, bro.
No, we've been doing 25 pages. Or we're doing that last one chapter
How many chapters is
was
that?
10 pages.
How many chapters
1,
is
Three.
that?
2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, not including?
No, including consider people's moods.
Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So up to and including consider people's moods. That's 3, bro.
Sure.
What do you mean?
That's wahed.
Muawiyah's hair
Muawiyah's
starts.
hair's 1.
Naam.
The keys to the heart.
It's 2.
Taking one's
I don't have that in my book.
psychological condition.
Alright, let's go up to that. Even though I don't have that in my book, but I'll get off you guys.
Okay.
Done.
That's only 10 pages, yeah?
Yeah, it's
Done.
not much, bro. 10 pages.
Alright, let's go next page, next chapter then. Consider people's moods. Is that what you guys have?
Yeah, be
No,
concerned
be
about
concerned
others.
Alright. So he just
I think
renamed this
taking
chapter.
one's condition
Yeah,
psychological.
he's renamed it.
Yeah,
this
that's all it is.
one. So be concerned for others, inshallah.
About others.
Up
So
to
we're up to 170.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Barakallahu feekum for listening, and inshallah tune in next time.